will be used to provide shelter for the near 250,000 homeless in Gonaive alone. Many forced to sleep in any patch of mud they can find. Many more are in hospital or are in need of medical attention. For the moment, their thoughts are focused on shelter, food, and burying their loved ones, and hoping the deadly waters that have destroyed what little they had finally recedes into a bad memory.
After devastating Haiti, Hurricane Jeanne became the fourth major storm to hit Florida in just 6 weeks. Lashing the state with winds of 180 kilometers an hour, it left a long trail of destruction before it finally weakened into a tropical storm. Many Floridians were forced to pick up the pieces all over again. Some had simply had enough.
I've lived through a lot, but never anything like this. And I've had enough hurricanes.
It had certainly been a mean season. In just 6 weeks, Charlie, Francis, Ivan, and Jeanne killed over 2,000 people. Hundreds of thousands of others were left homeless. Damage is estimated in the tens of billions of dollars. But what could have caused so many hurricanes in such a short time? Was it just a tragic fluke or a sign of things to come? The CBC's Eve Savory checked it out.
The question everyone is asking, is this the worst year ever for such ferocious hurricanes? The answer, no, it's part of a trend.
Ever since '95, we've been running above normal in terms of the long-term average almost every year. So in the last 10 years, we're at the verge of redefining what normal is because it's been very, very busy. Here's the eye of Hurricane Ivan.
Ivan is a monster, morphing from Category 4 to 5 and back. But if you look back over the last 100 years, this has not been the worst decade for such intense hurricanes. That terrible decade was the 50s, memorable for Hurricane Hazel's destructive path. But take a look at that same 100 years of hurricanes that don't become monsters, and the last 10 years are the worst ever. The same is true of tropical storms. What's more, we have already had twice as many monster storms as we'd had at this time last year.
We think that's very significant. We actually saw 8 storms form in the month of August. That's an all-time record.
So what's going on here? Hurricanes incubate in warm water in the Atlantic. Since 1995, when an El Niño ended, the water has been getting warmer, even in cooler years rising above the average. Last year, when Hurricane Juan was brewing, water temperatures were 3 degrees above normal, and that was enough to devastate parts of Nova Scotia and Prince Edward Island.
So the difference was a Category 2 storm versus what might have only been a marginal Category 1. And with only a 2 to 3 degree water difference. That's remarkable.
The bigger question is this: why are the waters warming?
We only have records that go back 150 years for hurricanes. Maybe there are cycles that go on 300 and 400 year cycles. And we just don't know if this is a natural variation or is this something out of the norm. It's out of the norm in terms of the last 150 years. That's what we know.
Whatever the cause, he says, hurricanes are back. And what we should ask is, are we ready?
50 years ago, Canada wasn't ready for a hurricane named Hazel. In October of 1954, the tail end of Hazel that had earlier devastated Haiti struck the Toronto area. Over 200 millimeters of rain fell in just over a day. That's more than 3 times the average rainfall for the entire month. Rivers and creeks overflowed, and torrents of water poured into some neighborhoods. Roads and bridges were flooded, cars were swept away, and trains were derailed. Homes and trailers were washed into Lake Ontario. Rescuers managed to save some people, but 81 died. Hundreds were hurt, and thousands were left homeless. After that tragedy, a huge project was carried out to make sure such a catastrophic flood wouldn't happen again. The courses of many rivers were changed, dams and reservoirs were built. A conservation authority was established to control water levels and to purchase land and homes in flood hazard areas. Much of that land was turned into parks, and one of those parks was dedicated to the victims of Hurricane Hazel. Victims, like so many others this hurricane season, of one of nature's most deadly and destructive forces. And that's News in Review. I'm Carla Robinson. Thanks for watching. freezing the puck. Labor troubles put the hockey season on hold.
They are apparently convinced that come some point in the season, the owner's resolve will waver, and I tell you that is wrong, wrong, wrong.
We just want to see him play. We want to see him out there on the ice.
On News and Review today, the NHL lockout. Hello, I'm Carla Robinson. Every year when fall arrives, many Canadians can hardly wait for the hockey season to begin. But this year, they're still waiting. There are no games, no home teams to cheer on, no hockey pools. It's all because of a labor dispute at the National Hockey League. In mid-September, before the season even began, the NHL owners locked out their players. The lockout is all about money, lots of money. And because of that, it could be a long one. But as the CBC's Tom Harrington reports, when the lockout began, some fans were still hoping for the best.
Free Yankee tickets coming up during...
Sounded like a pretty good deal to these New Yorkers. They lined up for the chance to see baseball for free and wondered if there'd be any hockey to see this year.
I hope they settle it very quickly and give the players what they want so the fans can get what they want.
A few blocks away, the most powerful people in the game faced a decision no hockey fan wanted. Owners and management of the NHL's 30 teams gathered at a downtown hotel to unanimously approve the league's plan to shut down the game.
Everybody's unified, very unified.
The meeting lasted less than 2 hours, and when it was over, the executives who did speak to the media described the mood as somber, one calling it a sad day for hockey.
I think it's an opportunity to make the league stronger and better and keep it affordable for our fans.
Simply, the union is trying to win a fight.
NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman was visibly angry during a 20-minute speech on why the owners were locking out the league's 700 players. Bettman said that unless a new contract with the players' union is reached, the entire season is in peril.
They are apparently convinced that come some point in the season, the owner's resolve will waver, and I tell you that is wrong, wrong, wrong.
The NHL wants players' salaries linked to the amount of revenue the league generates. The National Hockey League Players Association says Bettman is unwilling to consider any other economic solutions.
His strategy in finding the compromise is to lock out and exert the pressure on the players. And we understand that, and we've been expecting that because they've been planning their lockout since November of 1998, if not before.
I think there's a tremendous opportunity for the league and the PA to do something very positive and to take a bold step to getting it done instead of having all the tough guy talk.
It's been a decade since NHL players were last locked out of their rinks, and that dispute wiped out half a season. The consensus in hockey circles is that this one will be much longer. Tom Harrington, CBC News, New York.
The team owners say they won't even consider a new contract that doesn't include some kind of a cap on player salaries, something the players say they'll never accept. But the owners and the players aren't the only ones affected by the lockout. A lot of other people with a lot less money are also paying a price. The CBC's Melissa Fung talked to some of them.
Eric Graham sells popcorn at Toronto Maple Leaf games.
It'll really affect a lot of us. This is part-time jobs, and it's even more part-time now. Compared to 30 hours a week, we're now down to maybe 15.
Jobs are already starting to disappear. The National Hockey League has already laid off half of its 300 employees. Across the country, sports bars and restaurants have already made their plans.
Basically, it's about a 30% loss of total revenue for us down here. How it directly affects us, obviously from a staffing standpoint, we're going to probably require less serving staff and kitchen staff.
And broadcasters. Without Hockey Night, the CBC today laid off 50 people across the network.
It's significant for us, but again, it's a combination of the programming and the staff and the revenue. And in terms of not having hockey, it's really significant for our viewers and the fans of hockey as well.
Those fans are already mourning the loss of their game.
Well, it's very disappointing.
And why is that?
Because every Saturday night I usually sit down with my family and watch the game.
They're like our role model, and we look up to them.
We just want to see them play. We want to see them out there on the ice.
When the lockout began, Canadian hockey fans were divided about who they should blame for putting their favorite game on ice. Some said it was the owner's fault for allowing salaries to skyrocket, while others blamed the players for being too greedy. And a lot of people seem to think that something like this wouldn't have happened years ago. In fact, labor troubles aren't new to the NHL. Here's the CBC's Doug Dirks with a bit of hockey history.
Passing back to Ted Lindsay. The battle lines were drawn nearly 50 years ago.
Probably the best way to describe it would be that it was a dictatorship.
NHL players like Ted Lindsay felt they were getting the short end of the stick from their employers.
All they'd have to do is say jump, and we'd say how high.
In the late 1950s, Lindsay decided to fight back. He tried to form the first NHL Players Union. It failed, but Lindsay's colleagues stuck with it, and the NHL Players Association was finally formed in 1967.
To get things to work smoothly, you have to trust each other. If you don't trust each other, you'll never be happy.
The players put their trust in Alan Eagleson, the association's first executive director. Eagleson betrayed that trust, and he was eventually sent to jail for fraud. Eagleson was succeeded by Bob Goodenow in 1991. Under Goodenow's direction, the average NHL player's salary has climbed to $1.8 million a year U.S., but the relationship with league owners has deteriorated.
This union's leadership negotiates by confrontation.
NHL President Gary Bettman has faced off against Goodenow several times during the past decade, and the result has been a players' strike, 2 lockouts, and a relationship rife with distrust.
They've been planning their lockout since November of 1998, if not before.
I think first and foremost, the union has to finally acknowledge that there is a problem.
Andrew Ferentz is a defenseman with the Calgary Flames. He supports the Players Association, but Ferentz says both sides are in danger of losing this fight.
That's what's flawed right now with the process, is that there's too much animosity between the two groups, and you know, any smart businessman will tell you that's not going to work.
Ted Lindsay says it would help if both sides started to look at it from the fans' perspective.
When I played, the people who paid me were not the Norrises. It was the people that came through the turnstiles, and I was always very grateful for that.
But there was not much hockey fans could do to try to end this lockout. The owners and the players were refusing to even talk to each other. More than 200 NHL players signed up to play with clubs in Europe, and many team owners were making plans for a season that didn't include hockey. Here's Melissa Fung with that story.
Instead of opening training camp this week, Canada's 6 NHL teams are closing down. In arenas across the country, the sound of skating is being replaced by the sound of silence. And from Ottawa Senators General Manager John Muckler,
it's a sad day for, I know, my staff.
To his Vancouver counterpart, Dave Nonis.
We need a new system in order for us to keep our team together and for us to be competitive long term.
The sentiment among management was the same.
The league and the member clubs are together on this issue. The Oilers support the league and the commissioner 100%.
Every team has imposed pay cuts on its staff, some as much as 40%. Some teams own their arenas, others rent them. Either way, they now have to fill thousands of empty seats, normally reserved for hockey fans.
We'll be as aggressive as we can in filling dates here, but it'll be more on the entertainment side than on the hockey side.
Some will bring in their minor league teams, but in Calgary, Flames management says despite their Stanley Cup run, the team stands to gain by not playing this season at all.
We will lose less money. That assumes that our forecasts are correct and that our contingency plan, in fact, creates the kind of efficiency that we think it will.
Even teams who sell out many of their home games agree.
We will lose less by not playing hockey under the current economic situation. And that's the whole crux of the problem.
In Toronto, the Maple Leafs are a different story. They consistently turn a profit, and they have helped to fill those seats.
We are fortunate that we have the Toronto Raptors, a great NBA franchise, in our building.
But the teams face another problem when trying to book events to fill those seats. They can't plan too far in advance because they don't know when the lockout might end. Melissa Fung, CBC News, Toronto.
With no end to the lockout in sight, many NHL fans decided not to sit around and wait. They needed their hockey fix. So they started looking around for alternatives. Here again is the CBC's Melissa Fung.
Toronto versus Detroit. No, not the Maple Leafs and Red Wings. Tonight's the inaugural game of the OSHL, the Original Stars Hockey League. 4-on-4 hockey with some NHL players. Part of the profits go to charity.
So that'll be $36.34.
Ticket sales have been brisk.
Thank you.
Thought it'd be a great opportunity to get up close. Not very often you can get tickets for that price in front row and have a chance to see the big guys play.
The big guys don't often come to cities like Barrie, Ontario. But if the NHL lockout drags on, places like Barrie may become hotbeds for hockey.
Hello, Vancouver Giants. Sure. Are you looking for season tickets or just single tickets?
The Vancouver Giants are in the Western Hockey League. They're hoping to become the alternative for hockey-starved Canuck fans. And already, sales of season's tickets have almost doubled, from 2,500 last season to 4,000 this season.
I've been here since the start of the franchise. This is my 4th year, and we haven't had 3 days of sales like we had starting on Wednesday.
But young players working their way up the system, like Anaheim Mighty Duck draft pick Tim Brent, are wondering what the lockout might mean for their development.
For players like myself, younger players just breaking into the league, just getting their first contract, I think that the biggest thing is you're not going to get the few NHL games that you might have got a few seasons ago or even last season.
Brent will have to wait out the lockout, playing with the Cincinnati Mighty Ducks. It could be a long wait before he's called up to Anaheim. Melissa Fung, CBC News, Toronto.
It could also be a long wait for hockey fans. By late October, the two sides still weren't talking to each other. It's generally believed that unless some sort of agreement can be hammered out by early in 2005, the hockey season may have to be scrapped. That would mean no Stanley Cup for the first time in 112 years. And that's News in Review. I'm Carla Robinson. Thanks for watching.